Vitamin D3 deficiency is one of the most common blood labs we come across, and it really doesn't need to be. A lot of our clients are repeat offenders. They have low vitamin D3, they take some supplements perhaps for a few months, get back to the same old habits, repeat the blood test in a year's time and have low vitamin D3 again. But it really doesn't have to be that way. In fact, I like to tell my clients that they don't even need to check their vitamin D3. Maybe just get it checked once, and once you know what you need to do, you should just continue doing it. Supplementing with vitamin D3 is very reliable. If you know you're supplementing, sure, you could check it one more time to make sure that the levels are within range. But after that, you can just continue long term. Especially here in Canada, it's extremely common to have low vitamin D3 because 90% of vitamin D3 is through sunshine. You cannot get it through a window. It has to be direct sunshine on your skin. And the number of months we have in Canada where you can walk around in the sun with a t-shirt and shorts is quite small, 3 or 4 months max. And vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, which means it is something we store, and we certainly don't get enough vitamin D in those 3 to 4 months to be able to store enough for the whole year. In fact, even in those 3 or 4 months, because we're all so scared of skin cancer, or many of us just want to protect the skin because of anti-aging, we don't tend to get a lot of sun exposure even in the summertime, and almost zero during winter, fall, and spring. And so I had a client who said to me he did not want to take any supplements and wanted to do it naturally. I asked him what his father did, and he told me his father was a farmer back home in India. And I said, well, if you want to get back to farming, I can guarantee you'll get enough vitamin D. But if you're going to carry on doing your IT job indoors in front of a computer all day, you might as well take some supplements. Our lifestyles have changed so profoundly that it is almost impossible to get adequate vitamin D, particularly if you have a darker shade of skin, because melanin, which is skin pigment, reduces the absorption of vitamin D through the sunshine, and also particularly if you live in a country which is further away from the equator. Vitamin D is really important for bone health, muscle health, immune health, and there have been some studies associating chronic low vitamin D with neurological conditions such as multiple sclerosis as well. And so it's really important that those clients who already have bone disease like osteoporosis or osteopenia, low bone mass, borderline bone mass, or those clients who are trying to do resistance training and gain muscle, those clients who have any kind of neurological conditions need to ensure they stay on top of their vitamin D. Symptoms of low vitamin D can include general weakness, malaise, fatigue, muscle pains, bone pains, propensity to easy fractures, easy injuries, a poor immune system, etc. Because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, it is something which you can store, which means your body is able to take large stores of vitamin D and then store it for a long period of time. This also means that clients who have larger fat stores, so those clients with obesity, are also at risk of lower levels of circulating vitamin D because their vitamin D gets trapped in the fat cells. It also means that those clients who are supplementing can have larger boluses if they forget their doses. So for example, if you forget to take your vitamin D for 5 days, you could take 5 days worth of vitamin D together. But it's not recommended that you take boluses at intervals any longer than 1 week apart. There has been some evidence that taking vitamin D once a month or twice a month or in the form of an injection every 3 months or so doesn't appear to confer the same benefit that daily vitamin D or more regular vitamin D confers. And this could be because of physiological changes. Your body is designed to get a regular intake of vitamin D. Is not designed to get vitamin D once every 3 months. And it seems that giving vitamin D in those kinds of very spaced out boluses doesn't appear to resemble physiological intake of vitamin D close enough to give us those same benefits. There have also been a lot of negative studies about vitamin D, studies which did not show much benefit of vitamin D. And this is because vitamin D, being essentially a hormone which regulates so many of these activities, requires a multitude of cofactors and other vitamins, minerals to do its work. For example, it needs calcium and other minerals for bone development. It would require vitamin C and other kinds of antioxidants for the immune system. And so I do recommend to all clients with low vitamin D that they should first start out with a daily multivitamin. The one I recommend on my blog contains 1000 units of vitamin D3, and then they should add vitamin D on top. Clients above 50 may wish to take the vitamin D with vitamin K2. Clients could also take a higher dose of vitamin D if they're particularly concerned or at higher risk. Adding a 2,500 IU vitamin D with a daily multivitamin, particularly over winter, fall, and spring. And this would be a good enough routine for most people. You can safely take up to 4,000 units of vitamin D per day without requirement of further supervision or blood test monitoring. If you take any more than that, however, it is quite important to monitor your blood tests because excessive high doses of vitamin D can lead to certain complications, including hypercalcemia, for example. Food-wise, eggs, fortified dairy, and fish, seafood contain vitamin D, but food only constitutes approximately 10% of your daily vitamin D intake. 90% is through direct exposure to sunshine. If you head to my website, scroll to the very bottom, click on supplements, you'll find my blogs for vitamin D supplements and multivitamins. So you'll find the multivitamin that I recommend to all clients. The Amazon links are on the blog. You also find the high dose vitamin D I recommend, 2,500, along with the multivitamin. And also clients who are 50 plus could also consider the vitamin D3 with vitamin K2.